Looking at lipid digestion. As always, we're going to start with our digestive system. As we know, we are going to chew our food and then it's going to move into our stomach and then into the intestine. We have talked about how carbohydrates start their digestive processes or hydrolysis in the mouth with our salivary amylase. Proteins start that process in the stomach with the HCl for the denaturation and pepsin for breaking those amide linkages. Lipids, because they're insoluble in our digestive juices, cannot start hydrolyzing until they reach our small intestine. So in the small intestine, the gallbladder is going to produce bile and bile salts, and that's going to get dumped into our small intestine. If you think about oil and water, and you put that into a cup and you shake it up, and you get all these flowing globules of the oil, and then it'll slowly separate, that is what we call a fat globule, and that is what's moving through into our digestive system. The problem is our enzymes cannot get into those fat chunks in order to hydrolyze the ester linkage between the glycerol and those fatty acids. The bile salts act as an emulsifier, kind of like soap, where they are going to surround smaller amounts of our triacylglycerols. That then allows for our lipases or our enzymes that can break down these ester bonds and these lipids to now have access to those sites. So we would not be able to start digestion of lipids without having our gallbladder to provide the bile salts. The fat would just move straight on through our system. If you have your gallbladder removed, you are no longer providing that source. Therefore, you typically will need to take some form of bile or bile salts, or really watch your lipid consumption, because they're not going to get broken down as effectively without these bile salts. As we discussed previously, the first step in lipid hydrolysis is to create the emulsified solution. So we have the bile salts creating smaller and smaller globulates of these lipids. In step 2, our enzymes, or those lipases, are going to break the triglycerides down into our fatty acids. So we could have our individual fatty acids, or our monoglycerides, and or, in addition, the glycerol backbone. And it all depends on how accessible each of these sites are. So we're going to get a little bit of a mixture of the monoglyceride, our fatty acids, our glycerol backbone. So it just all depends on the exposure of the ester bonds to that lipase. The next step is our fatty acids and our monoglycerides and our glycerol. They're going to be packaged into micelles. So micelles are single layered spherical shapes, typically built up by phospholipids. So it's going to have a polar head and nonpolar tails that point inward. That allows these more nonpolar substances to exist in that aqueous environment. So these micelles are much smaller versions of the emulsified lipids with our bile salts. These are going to pass into the microvilli of the small intestine. And here they are going to be converted back into the triglycerides. So we have to break them down to go through a cell wall of the small intestine. Then within that cell, they're going to get built back up. It's ridiculous. And then those triacylglycerols and cholesterol and some lipoproteins, but they're all going to aggregate together into what's called a chylomicron. This chylomicron, again, it looks like a micelle as well. The biggest difference is it's going to have these embedded lipoproteins. This is what, again, allows these non-polar substances to move through the polar lymph and blood system. We have our polar heads that are pointing outwards. We've got the non-polar tails, so these are built from like our phospholipids. And then inside we have all of the triacylglycerols. If we've consumed cholesterol, they'll be in there as well. Then the chylomicrons are going to move into the lymph for transport into the rest of the body. Once we're in the blood, we are going to transport the we're going to transport the triacylglycerols to either muscle tissue, or to the liver. Once the chylomicron gets to the site in which it needs to provide the triacylglycerols, this could be muscle tissue or liver tissue. Within our capillary walls, we have embedded enzymes. An example here is our LPL. That is a lipoprotein lipase. From that other image of the chylomicron, remember we have those embedded proteins within the membrane of that phospholipid layer. That is going to catalyze the rehydrolysis of the glycerol and the fatty acids. So those have to be separated. And when those get separated, they can then move through the capillary wall as the fatty acids and the glycerol. So once they've passed through the capillary wall, the body takes stock of what we need to do. So either if we need energy, so we're low on carbohydrates and we need to synthesize ATP, they can move forward through the oxidation process to provide ATP. Otherwise, they are going to get I'm not sure this is a word, esterized. We're going to reform the esters, and we're going to store these triacylglycerols in our adipose tissue.